souls that we're bringing to the light. From maps to mods to the rigs we drive, we're talking to the folks who keep this farm life alive. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. He's got questions rolling like a big John Deere, digging deep with modders so their voices we can hear. From giants of the code to the artists painting skies, he's shining up their stories like a brand new combine. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. From tractors to textures, from silos to sounds, there's a whole crew of heroes making this world go round. So tune in and find out who's behind the screen. Farm Sim Talk's the place to see what farming really means. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Big Daddy Dave, and this is Farm Sim Talk, a show where we get to talk to other creators here in the farm sim space and get to know a little bit more about them. I am joined here tonight by Farmer Brian. Farmer Brian, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How's everybody tonight?
Oh, doing fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. Before we get into it, I want to give a few shout outs here because I'm seeing a bunch of you already in chat. I see Dust Bunny and Miss Hillbilly. Thank you both for joining. Hope you two are having a fantastic day so far. We got Jaked Up 77. Jake, how you doing? Hope you're having a great one. Brady Rimmer Productions. Brady, how you doing, bud? Hope you're having a great day as well. Dean Winchester. Hope you're doing well. We got Swim Shady. Swim, how you doing? Let's see. T Gaming 87. How you doing? Hope you're having a great one. Ken Adlam. We got Samuel Wilkinson. And yeah, we got Lisa. Miss Lisa, how are all of you doing tonight? I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Majors Gaming, thank you for joining. Hope you're having a great one as well. All right. And Gary Miller, how's it going? Hope everybody is having a great one so far. So, Farmer Brian, do you want to give us a quick kind of introduction of who you are and what it is that you do within the farm sim community?
Yeah, I do a little bit of gaming. I don't really keep up with the gaming too much, but mainly what I do is I like to help people. I like to, edit mods and create different little things with, already created mods. I like to add logos. I help different creators put their logos on some things, and mainly that's what I like to do. I just like to help out, do stuff like that more than I actually like making videos or recording. I just do that just to kind of as a little fun thing while I'm playing. But that's what I like to do. I like helping people, put their logos and stuff like that on mods, and just so they can. When you're playing a game, it's nice to actually have your logo in the game. It kind of makes it more in tune with who you are while you're playing. When you're seeing your own stuff in the background of your game.
Absolutely. And do you want to tell us where everyone can find you?
Oh yeah, it's Farmer Brian Gaming on YouTube, and it's also Farmer Brian on Discord. Both of them's on my channel.
And do you want to give me shout outs before we get going?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my Farm Hands United crew. Got group of friends of mine that we play games together. It's Cowboy Cole, Unknown Kansas Boy, Double DCP, and Sweet and Sassy Country Girl. They're the you know my crew that we play. Most of the time we're playing, it's us. We're on there together. I also like to give a shout out to Game of Joy and Just Joe and Jersey Modding. All of them is they're the ones that all help me with anytime I was trying to learn how to do a mod or fix a mod or anything like that. Them three was the ones that I went to. And of course, Miss Hillbilly, she keeps my Discord alive, and I really appreciate that because I can't do it with the hours that I work. So I really appreciate that. And of course, Miss Dust Bunny, she's the one to set this up, and she's always got something great to say. So I really appreciate it.
Tons of great shout outs there. I love it. So, what do you say we go into our first segment here? We call this one Digging
Sure.
Up Dirt. This is a segment where we get to know who you are outside of the farm sim community. So, first question I have
Yeah.
for you is do you have a job outside of creating content, or is this your primary job?
Oh no, I am a truck driver by trade. I deliver heavy equipment. I drive a land off tractor trailer. I do that for about 10 hours a day, sometimes 12 hours a day, and I spend another 4 to 5 hours a day training to be a GM. My company's about to open up another location, and I'm going to try to run it. So as long as everything goes right, by the end of this year, I should be running my own store and getting out of a truck. But as of right now, I'm a truck driver.
I gotcha. So, is this all kind of like local deliveries, or are you having to
Yep,
go
it's
like
all
all over the
local. I
place?
don't. No, I used to be owner operator. I owned a tractor trailer, and I was over the road all the time. And had a couple sicknesses in the family that brought me back home, and I just couldn't. I couldn't go out of town anymore, so I had to be local. And being an owner operator and not being over the road, you're just not making no. It doesn't make it worth it anymore. So I got rid of my truck and trailer and started working for companies. And never turn back. I'm home with my family every day, so it makes it all worth it to me.
It's one of those where being a truck driver, especially one who can go all over the country to make deliveries and all that, that's a tough life. That's a really hard life, especially when you've got a family at home. You can
Yeah.
go days, weeks at a time before you see them again. And that's on like a good route. I remember my father; he used to drive truck, and he would go all over the country. And at the time, we were up in
Yeah.
Michigan, and if he was out driving out to California, or he was going down to like the Southwest, kind of thing, he could be gone for a solid week and a half. I mean, there was one trip I vividly remember growing up, and he was gone for like 2 whole weeks. Didn't get to see him at all. And it was just like I would sit there and talk to my mom, and it's like, where's dad, where's dad, where's dad? Oh, he's working. It's like, oh, this sucks. So yeah, no, I I'm quite familiar with the trucking scene. And congratulations being able to get back within the local area. And sounds like
Oh yeah.
congratulations in order for the soon to be new gig where you're not going to be driving at all. That's going to be really
Yeah.
nice.
Fingers crossed. I'll be out of a truck by the end of this year. So all goes well. It's just gonna be like that way. But yeah, when I first bought my truck, in order to set everything up properly, I was gone for right at the end of the year for 2 months, 2 whole months. I came home for 3 days in between the 2 months for Christmas, and then I was gone and again for another month after I come back for Christmas. So it was some long times away. So
Wow.
I don't make the money I made when I was owner operator, but I I make decent money now, and I'm home every single day, so I can live with it.
Well, and that's the thing is, finding that balance of, making money versus, being able to, spend the time with family. I mean,
Yep, be with your family.
that's you got to find that balance. It's tough sometimes too because you want to be able to
Oh
to
yeah,
get more things, to do more with that money, but at what cost, kind of things. We're
yep,
all spending that
a lot of
commodity of
costs.
time. So,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, my family's more important than money, so that made the choice pretty easy for me to come off the road and just be local.
exactly. No, I hear you there. So, what kind of hobbies do you have? Do you like to do hiking, fishing, watch sports?
I used to be into sports, but as I've got older, I've kind of whittled away from it. Right now, my hobbies is working out. I work out every single day. I've lost 104, about 104, 105 pounds in the past year and a half. I had a little help. I had a tool. I got gastric sleeve surgery, but that's not the cure all. It's just a tool, and it was a lot of hard work to get where I'm at. So, but that's become my hobby. I do it every day, and I love it.
That's
Everybody's still
excellent.
sleeping in the morning, and I'm at the gym.
That's excellent,
So,
man. Congratulations. 100, you said
thank you.
104?
104, I'm almost 105 pounds now.
That's amazing, man. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Oh yeah,
So,
appreciate it.
when you were into sports, what kind of sports were you into?
I was just into football. I mean, I didn't really get big into. I was just pro football when Steelers played. The Steelers was my team, and that was the only time that I really watched it was when they played. I didn't, I don't know me. I got with my wife at a very, very young age, and my life has been my family from the time from a very young age. It's been more about my family than it is about anything else. So I didn't really care about it, none of that stuff. But I grew up a big Steelers fan.
Steelers fan. Okay. Okay. What kind of
Yeah.
attracted you to the Steelers?
I was mainly say, a lot of my family was a big Steelers fan, so it kind of naturally instilled in me to be a Steelers fan. And as I grew up and just watching them more and more and more, I became my own fan of them. And it helped a lot too that when I met my wife, her dad was a big Steelers fan too, so that kind of helped me and him bond. And that was one of the things that kept me and him. We got very close. So that I guess that kind of helped it too.
There's definitely always that plus that when you're starting to date your significant other and whatnot, and you're getting introduced to the family and whatnot, you have that one thing that you can kind of bond over with the in-laws, kind of thing. That's definitely a good find. So yeah,
Yep.
that's a good one. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like you get too much time to be able to do much of anything else. You said that you go to the gym and you work for a pretty significant amount of the time because you're on the road, and you're also
Yeah.
training to be GM. Do you get an opportunity to really either watch movies, read books or anything along those lines, or
On my weekends is I mean I still work out. My Saturday is a nothing day. So Saturday is I might come in here and play my game a little bit, or me and my wife might watch a movie, or we'll go out and go to lunch or go to dinner or something like that. It's pretty much a nothing day, so it's up in the air what we're gonna do. We might just stay home all day and do nothing. And not even go to the store, just order something. But yeah, every other day. I mean, Sunday for most of the day, I have at home too. Because I get up in the morning on Sunday I don't get up as early as I do when I work throughout the week, but Sunday I get up about 5:30 in the morning and I'm at the gym at 6 and then I work out to about 9 a.m. So I still got pretty much the rest of the day to do whatever. Usually what I'll do is I'll stop by the store and I'll grab stuff, come home and cook breakfast for everybody after I get back from the gym and do that. So my weekends are my
What's your
during the week I'm no time.
what's your kind of go-to for cooking breakfast?
Usually, we try to eat a little bit healthier. So, I'll make some eggs and some turkey bacon, some sausage. Um, my son, he's the only one that really likes the bread stuff. So, I'll make uh, some biscuits for him. You know, I used to, before I lost my weight, I used to get down. I would make biscuits and gravy, and I'd make
Ooh.
bacon and sausage, and breakfast was a feast time. But I can't eat like that no more. So I can eat about a cup of food at a time right now. So
Yep.
I got to
Yep.
make it count.
No, I completely understand you there. So going back to your weekends there, you said that you do get some opportunity to be able to either watch a movie or TV or whatever the case may be. What kind of movies or TV are you into?
Really, movies haven't really been the thing as much in the past few years. Now it's been sitcoms and stuff like that. I'm a big really none of the new stuff really I care too much about. So I'll rewatch stuff like I love like Dexter, the series Dexter. I love Dexter. I mean, that was probably one of my best series. I can watch Breaking Bad over and over again. I can watch uh, Sons of Anarchy, stuff like that. Usually though, if it's me and my wife sitting down to watch something, usually it could be a comedy. We might watch something that she likes to watch, like I don't really get into the comedy stuff like that as much, but she loves like the Brooklyn Nine Nine and The Office and stuff like that. So, but
S-
mostly when it's just me and her, we'll watch a movie. We'll watch an older movie or something like that. Like right now, since it's into November now, what we'll do is we'll probably end up be watching a couple Christmas movies a weekend or something like that. Just something for us to be together and doing something.
I'm sitting here laughing because it sounds deeply familiar with like my wife and I. This is around the time where we switch from the Halloween movies to the Christmas movies. So it's one of those
Yeah,
where we we're I'm sure we're gonna be starting to get into all the like the Christmas with the Cranks and the
yeah.
oh goodness, like the Christmas Vacation. Well, we typically will leave like Christmas Vacation and Christmas Story. Those movies will leave like for right around Christmas Day.
I
But
got because them are the staples.
yep, those are like the ones that have to be seen every year without a doubt. But she's like into
Mhm.
those Hallmark movies, those Hallmark Christmas movies and stuff. So she'll
Yeah,
typically wrangle me up and say, okay, let's go watch this kind of thing. So it's like
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. This weekend for us is gonna probably be a Home Alone weekend. We'll probably watch a couple of the Home Alone movies this weekend.
So let me ask you this: what's your opinion on? Oh goodness, oh I had it. The movie with Bruce Willis, Die Hard.
Oh, Die Hard.
Die Hard,
Yeah,
Christmas
we'll
movie or
watch
not a
Die
Christmas
Hard.
movie?
Uh, Not a Christmas movie, but you got to watch it around Christmas time. Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, for me, it's not a Christmas movie, but you got to watch it around Christmas time to get the feeling of the movie.
100%. Yep, I agree. So, what kind of music are you into?
I listen to a little bit of everything. I grew up listening to hip hop music, a lot of rap music. I was always the guy driving around the neighborhood with the stereo so loud it was shaking your paintings off the walls and stuff like that. And I'm still like that. I still like that type of music, but I don't. I listen to country. I listen to rock and roll. So as I've got older, my world has kind of opened up on the different types of music I listen to. But I still have, the big stereo in my car to where if I want to crank it up, it's there for me to do it. But as I'm getting older, it's not it's not feasible to listen to it like I used to. So, but yeah, I'm open to pretty much any kind of music. So as I kind of sprouted out on the, none of the new stuff is as good as the old stuff anymore anyway. So
Couldn't agree more. It's one of those that I listen to what people are listening to nowadays every once in a while, and it's like, what is that? And that's when I officially
what are they
realized,
saying?
like, I'm so old.
Hmm.
Oh
Yep.
man. So let me ask you this: what would you consider to be the oddest or weirdest movie or TV show that you've seen up until this point?
Oh, yeah, I don't even know. I tried to watch like the Squid Games. I couldn't get into it. It was just kind of weird to me. I didn't even like get through the first episode of it. It was just like it was kind of weird to me. So that was kind of odd. I don't know. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I kind of tend to I I tend to, unless somebody tells me that a show is like amazing to watch, I tend to just stay with the shows that I know I enjoy, and not try to sprout out to the old to new stuff because usually, that's just not it's not good anymore. I guess it's just, they don't put as much into the new stuff as they did the older stuff.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. One of those where it just feels like a half-hearted effort on a lot of the new stuff,
Mhm.
and the good stuff is so few and far between nowadays that you know I don't have the time to be able to like be okay, let me go and sit down and give this a shot kind of thing, because
Yeah.
most of the time it's going to be junk anyway. So it's one of those that,
Hmm.
like you said, unless somebody is sitting there telling me, oh, this is amazing, you got to check it out, and they have been properly vetted as somebody whose brand I can trust, then
Yeah. Exactly.
because I'll have those people who be like, "Oh man, you got to check this out. It's amazing." And then, it's one of those I'll sit down, start to watch, and it's like, "What were they thinking?" So after
Yeah.
that, they tend to get their opinion discounted.
Yeah. And I try to be a little bit open minded on some of the things. Like if somebody recommends something that I don't think I'm gonna like, I'll still try to watch it a little bit. Like, me and my wife, we watched a show called The Originals together, and I really liked The Originals. But they had a show that they was based off of, The Vampire Diaries, and I watched a couple episodes a long time ago, and to me it felt like, I don't know, like soap opera-ish, like a soap opera almost. And I just didn't even, it wouldn't even register in my head that I wanted to watch it. My wife was like, "Yo, you'll like it if you watch it." I'm like, I'm not even gonna try to watch it because I'm not gonna like it." And then like 2 months ago, I kind of binge watched the whole show, and I told my wife, I was like, "Yeah, I've watched that show," and she's like, "What do you mean you watched it? I wanted to watch it with you. What are you talking about?" And I was like, I didn't think you would want to watch that show again. So I just kind of, I used it as, I'd put it on my iPad when I got on the treadmill, and you know, I would watch an episode while I was doing my hour on the treadmill. So,
Gotcha,
sometimes you
gotcha.
got to be open to something you don't think you're going to like watching and give it a try because you might end up liking it.
Yeah, and sometimes you are surprised on those kind of things that you don't necessarily think you're gonna like, but then somehow it just
Yeah.
kind of sneaks its way in there. It's like, I don't know.
Hmm.
I've had a couple of those happen where I was like, man, that just
Yeah.
doesn't sound like it's gonna be my cup of tea, and then I get into it, and it's like, okay, okay, you got me on this one. But like I said,
Yeah.
those tend to be like those kind of sleepers that like my close friends will recommend and be like, yeah, you got to check this out, you got to check it out. And
Yeah.
those are the ones I'm like, okay, I'll trust you. It doesn't seem like it should
Yeah.
work for me, but I'll trust you because it's you, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So What would you do if content creation was no longer an option for you? Let's say you came home one day and your computer just wouldn't turn on and you didn't have the means to be able to fix it. What would you do in its place?
I just, you know, spend more time with my family. It would just be, me and my wife would be, that used to be our thing before I built this monstrosity of a computer that I have. Me and my wife, that's what we did. We would, even if we was doing something different, we was together in the living room. I would be watching TV or she would be on her tablet or vice versa. She'd be watching something and I'd be on my tablet. But, we wasn't necessarily doing the same exact thing, but we was together. And sometimes, just me being in here on my computer, she'll come in here and she'll just sit with me and, she'll be on her tablet or on her phone. You know, after, we've been together now is 27 years. Um,
Wow.
so, after you've been together that long, you're not having to force yourself to do stuff to know that you are who you are and who you're with. So, yeah,
I gotcha.
just being together, is everything.
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree more. So, has it been a dream of yours to be a content creator, or do you feel like you just kind of fell into it?
I just, I still don't see myself as a content creator. I get on there, I play, as my buddy Kansas boy calls me, he tells me I'm the Bob Ross of farm sim. You're not going to watch my videos and be, laughing or, unless you have like me and Cowboy Cole and Kansas Boy together on a live stream. When we're all three together, you're gonna be laughing and you're gonna be having an amazing time. But if it's just a video like where I'm recording, I just kind of play my game and just basically I'm explaining. It's almost like a step by step kind of thing. I'm just playing my game, explaining what I'm doing. And so I don't really consider myself a content creator. I just do it to have a good time, pass time, and I really enjoy the modding stuff. Like changing mods and like I said, I've helped a couple of the um, couple people in the community. I've put their logos on some vehicles for them and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I like to do. I like to help people, show them how to do it if they want to learn how to do it. So I like doing that more than I like actually playing a game anymore. For real, I don't even turn on the game hardly in the past like 2 months.
So it sounds like to me that you might be on the precipice of starting a modding career. I mean, I might be talking out of turn here, but I've heard this from a lot of modders out there who is like, I used to be really into the game, and then I got into the modding portion of it, and then I just don't pick up the game anymore. I just do the modding kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it sounds like perhaps you might be on that kind of initial start of that journey.
Yeah, I
Huh?
think if I get this manager position and I'm not spending so much time at work, then I may, you do a lot more homework with the manager position, but I think I'll have a little bit more time to concentrate on things. As of right now, throughout the weekdays, I'm definitely gone about 15, 16 hours of the day. So it's not feasible to try to teach myself too much deep, modern stuff because I probably won't retain it anyway right now.
No, that makes sense. But like you said, you might get some more time on your hands, and who knows?
Yeah.
Got
I would
I
I
was
would love to learn more how to do it. So
for sure, for sure. And it's one of those that I find, especially if you're as busy as you are, that once you kind of switch gears and you free up that time, you tend to find means to be able to fill it back up again. It's one of those that once you start going at a certain pace, it's very easy to kind of, you know, keep into that pace. So who knows? Like I said,
yeah.
but you'd mentioned that you're married and you've been married for 27 years, and congratulations, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
and you mentioned that you had kids. So how do you create that balance between your home life, your work life, and your creator life?
Well, the thing about the well, I misspoke. Me and my wife have been together for 27 years, but we got married in 2003. So we haven't, we've only been married for 20, 23, 24 years. So, uh, but I mean, I consider we've been together for 27 years. It's, that is what it is. But yeah, my daughter, she's 25 years old. She was born when I was 16 years old, and my son just turned 18. I was lucky enough to have them at a young enough age to where, you know, I can uh, enjoy the time with them, and lucky enough to have them at a young enough age to, now I'm 42 years old and my youngest is 18 years old, so I'm not, you know, knock on wood, not raising no kids in my 40s and my 50s. So, but yeah, as they was younger, I was able to, I got my CDL late in life, so I didn't get my CDL until I was in my, early to mid 30s. So for most of my life, I worked basic jobs, was working 8, 9 hours a day. So I had a lot more time to spend with the family, and that's what we did. It's especially when I was younger. You might as well say that, I grew up with my daughter. I was 16 when she was born, so and but I'm proud of both of them. My daughter's a college graduate, so she's got a bachelor's degree, and my son's in college, so we couldn't be no happier with that.
That's excellent. That is excellent. I mean, even
Yeah.
still, I mean, since 2003, for so over 20 years now of marriage, I mean, still congratulations.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
that's quite a feat, especially
She's my
nowadays.
best friend. So.
That certainly makes it easier. So,
Hmm.
you mentioned that you do the truck driving, so you're on the road a lot, and you mentioned that you also used to do like long haul trucking and going all over the
Yep.
place. Um, do you do you like to travel, or is it more like you just picked it up because it was just work to do?
I did like to travel till I started driving for a living. If that makes any sense. Like before I drove for a living, I used to love, you put me in there, let's get in the car and go. Well, we can do whatever. Let's just go. But once you start driving for a living and I mean, your job is to stare out that windshield almost, you know, 11, 12 hours a day, you get sick of it. And it's mainly, you get sick of other drivers, you get sick of seeing tail lights, you get sick of just everything moving by so fast. It's so yeah, I used to really enjoy driving and just hopping in the car and going, but not anymore now.
Well,
If we're
no, and
going
that
somewhere that's taking more than a few hours, we're flying. We ain't driving no more.
no, I completely get you there, and it makes total sense. I mean, you work at McDonald's. The last thing you want to come home and do is have a burger for dinner, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
It's one of those
Yeah.
that I mean, when I was 16, I used to work at Target, and the last thing I'd want to do is go out to any of those big box stores after getting home, kind of thing. Is like I
Oh yeah.
just wanted to get home and stay away from anything that was that massive. So no,
Yeah.
I completely understand what you're saying there. Um, so it's one of those. Oops, I just smacked the microphone there. Um, it's one of those that if you had to, well, not had to, but if you wanted to, do you like to be able to like travel to be able to not just like go in the car and drive, but like go to an actual destination for like vacation or something?
Oh yeah. Me and my me and my wife were what people like to call Disney adults. So it's one of them things. We usually have a annual pass to Disney World, and we'll go about 4 or 5 times a year. Just me and her. The kids don't even like to go. Like they'll go like once a year with us, and then me and the wife will fly down there. And when I got my surgery, I had to be off for 3 weeks. So I did my first week at home, and then I asked the doctor. I was like, "Am I okay to travel?" And he's like, "As long as you get out of the car about every 2 hours and walk around for like 10 minutes, he's go on." So we, I left the doctor's office, packed the car, and we drove to Florida and went and I did my the rest of my 2 weeks of healing at walking around Disney World. So that's what we love to do. It's just, I guess, like I said, we're the Disney adults. A lot of people don't like it, but we love it.
So if money was no object, where would you want to travel to?
Uh, and for me, you know, Rome. I would love to go to Rome, check out the old Colosseums, and just like, that all that stuff interests me. All the old stuff from like the Roman Empire. I'd love to see all that stuff. That would be my number one on my bucket list.
So what kind of got you into the wanting to go to Rome?
I don't know. It always interested me since a kid. When I used to see all the stuff about the Roman Empire and what they did at the Colosseums, and they had, how they uh, basically all the gladiator stuff that went on, and then of course, when the movies would come out and like Gladiator and stuff like that, it would pique your interest again. You might not think about it for years, and then here comes the Gladiator movies come out, and then you're like, oh yeah, I want to go back, and I want to go and see them. I'd like to go check that out.
I
Just the
gotcha.
architecture, I love the architecture of it. It would be amazing.
No, I completely understand what you're. So I would love to go see Rome. I'd love to go see Greece for the same exact reasons. Get to see those
Yeah, Greece would be cool.
old buildings and like the Parthenon, the Pantheon, um, the Colosseum, like you mentioned there. I mean, all those things would be amazing to see kind of firsthand. The amount of history that you can see in just one
Yep.
trip is just incredible.
Mm.
So, what would you say inspires or motivates you?
My family has always inspired and motivated me. Just I've always been I had to grow up at a young age, and I went from 16 to 20 real quick. It's having a kid is you don't have time to think about it. I started working. I quit school, but I went and got my GED, and then so they've always inspired me. If it wasn't for meeting my wife, I would have probably went down a different path than I went. And I always blessed to definitely blessed to have met her. And they've always motivated me. They've always been my motivation. They've never, they've always been there for me, but I've always just pushed myself to be better because of them.
It's incredible in how uh, a wife and kids will motivate you to be able to go beyond what you even understand as your limits and find the
Yep.
next gear to be able to do what it is you need to do to help provide
Yep.
for them and take care of them. It's amazing at how I know when my kids were born, especially my first one, when she was born, she's gonna be 4 in February. Um, it was like almost like a lightning bolt, where all of a sudden it's
Hmm.
like this laser focus of okay,
Yep.
like there's no more room to mess around.
Yep.
I've gotta make sure that I'm stable, make sure that everything's like all my ducks are in a row, and make sure that I've got everything laid out to where all these contingency plans, like that just my whole world just shifted on a dime at
Yep.
that point.
Not just about you anymore.
Yep, exactly. It was just that complete mind shift of okay, now I've got to worry about, not just me, not just my wife, but now these little ones who, are completely helpless without us kind of thing.
Yep.
So really kind of shifted the focus. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah, you don't care about yourself anymore. You just, you focus on your family. Like I said, my daughter was born when I was 16, so it never was a doubt in my mind of what I had to do, even at that young age. You know, s- I tried to do the school thing too. So I went to school in the mornings and I worked third shift. Then I tried to spend time with my wife and daughter whenever I could, but when I was off school and off work, I had to sleep. So I ended up, quitting school, got my GED, and just went off from there, just trying to build my career up as basically getting where I'm at now.
No, that's amazing. Like I said, it is one of those that it sounded like you were thrusted into fatherhood, in an early age, and that you stepped up to the plate. So, that's amazing. It's again, you don't hear a lot of stories like yours anymore,
Yeah.
where people oftentimes will look for either the easy way out or shirk the responsibilities or whatever. Especially when you're that young, you're almost incentivized nowadays to look for any kind of alternative. So the fact that you stepped up to the plate and knew what you had to do, man, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
inspiring.
Yeah, I was always, you would say I was mature and immature at the same time. I was always mature for my age, but I was a goofy person, but I was also at the same time more mature than people around me that was at my age. So it was never, it wouldn't nothing else crossed my mind whenever my wife told me she was pregnant. It was just like time to get to work. Time you gotta start working. Gotta start taking care of business now. No more playtime.
Yeah, that's it. That's it exactly. It's amazing how quickly you grow up and
Yeah.
figure things out. So let me ask you this. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you? So let's say you make a new set of friends and you're kind of going through that whole kind of introductory process. And what's that one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
I'm a pretty open book to anybody that I meet. So I really would say there's not much that anybody you know, gets surprised about me because, if you meet me or you've hung around with me or hung around with anybody that knows, if they've anybody tells you about me, it is what it is. I don't, there's nothing that I hide from anybody. So really there's nothing to surprise anybody with. It's just I'm kind of boring like that. It's just I am who I am, so there's no surprises with me,
I gotcha, gotcha. And what's one of your
unfortunately.
and what's one of your biggest fears that keeps you up at night?
Ah, anything bad happening to my family, that's always, losing someone in the family has always been at the top of my list of, being worried about, my kids or my wife, anybody else in the family, but my kids and my wife has always been my number one fear of anything happening to anybody. So
No, I hear you there. And, you know, if I was asked that question, before I had a wife and kids, I would have said, without a shadow of a doubt, snakes. I cannot stand snakes. It's one of my worst nightmares growing up was like the whole Indiana Jones scene. He gets thrown in, or
yeah,
he goes down in the pit with the snakes and all that stuff.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, that was nightmare fuel for me. But the moment that I, got married and then had the kids, like that's like yeah, something bad happening to them that immediately went away. I could be thrown into a pit of vipers and wouldn't care, kind of thing.
is and, you still have the fear there, but if your kids are there, then your fear is more onto them. But I mean, I have the fear like that. Mine is water. Um, like if I can't see land on the other side of water, I don't want to. Like if I go to the beach, it takes me a few minutes to adjust to seeing all that water. That's why I couldn't never do like we've talked about doing a cruise and stuff like that, but I couldn't never do it because if I can't see land, I don't like it. But, I can get in the ocean with my son, when he was younger, or my daughter when she was younger, and I wouldn't care about that much water because I was more focused on making sure that they didn't, get sucked out into the water or anything like that. So I understand what you're saying there.
So, is it just the fact that it's the expansiveness of the ocean, or is it like the worry of what's in it?
I'm probably more of the potential drowning, that type of, what could happen to you. If you get stuck out and there's no land, you can only swim so far until your body just is not going to swim anymore. So I think that's probably the biggest fear is just maybe the drowning part, something like that. But I don't know. I never really knew what the fear of it was. You know, I'm not scared of tornadoes. I'm not scared of anything like that. I'll sit out on my porch and I'm one of them people who grew up in the country. I'll sit out on the porch and watch the tornado come down the road. But if I step out of my hotel at the beach at the ocean the first time I see it, I gotta kind of just stand there and adjust and take it in for a few minutes before I can relax.
I gotcha, I gotcha. Do you own any pets?
Yeah, I have two dogs. I got a boxer and female boxer and a male Maltese, little white dog.
Okay, was the little white dog the missus?
No, he's the mean little male. He's the my boxer's a female. They're both pretty old. She's about I think she's 12 and he's 11, or she's 13 and he's 12. They're about a year difference. So they're both old. He's completely deaf. He can't hear anything. And my boxer, her old age is catching up with her, so she's starting to hear less and less. But they're got a little bed right here is where they usually sit and lay with me when I'm playing my game or doing something in here.
No, I
But
completely
right now
understand.
they're surprised I'm not in bed, so they're not used to me being awake at 10 o'clock at night ever anymore. So my wife's done told me that my boxer's done come out of the bedroom about 5 or 6 times and looking around, wondering why we're not in the bed.
Come and check on you, make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, well, she's ready for bed. She's like, "Why y'all ain't in here? I need y'all in here so I can go to sleep."
Oh yeah, no, my dogs are the same exact way. I've got, as a matter of fact, they're both over my shoulder right now. I'm shocked if
Mm.
nobody can hear them snoring in the background.
And I'm surprised mine hasn't came in here and laid down. She usually come in here, lay down behind me, and then as soon as I get up and go to bed, she'll pop up and follow me in there, and she's pretty much got a bed in every room in the house, so she can lay down, and she has plenty of places for her little old behind to get comfortable and lay down.
It's amazing in how we will sit there and spoil our pets. I've got the same thing going on my place. Is that pretty much every single room, because my dogs are older as well. Uh, every single room has a spot for them to just crash if they want to.
Yep.
And what's funny is the big dog I've got. She's a hound mix, and she prefers smaller beds. Like we got he's a Jack Russell mix, and we got beds appropriate for his size. But he never gets to lay in them because she'll come around
She feels
and curl up as tight as she can get and bloop, plops right down on 'em. Those are the ones that she prefers
yeah,
to lay on. It's wild because we've got like the big, massive ones. Like in my office here, she lays on this one. She's not happy about it, but she lays on it, and mainly she's not happy about it
yeah.
because her brother's sitting there with her. So
Hmm. Well, all the beds in my house are hers. All the dog beds are hers. She knows they're hers. The little guy, he's always usually up on somebody's lap or on the couch next to somebody. But she's old. She can't hop up on anything like that. So all the beds are hers, and she knows it, and she don't like it when he gets in her bed. And if he's laying in her bed, she'll sit on the floor and just stare at him until he moves, and or we make him get up because she won't. She might eventually lay down, but if she's already laying down and he gets in the bed with her, she won't move. But if he's in the bed first, she don't want to get in the bed. She knows it's her bed and she wants him out.
Yeah, my dogs are the same exact way. It's so funny because, yeah, exactly that way too. Because if she wants to lay down, she'll actually just kick him out. Like she'll just be a bully and just like, hey, I'm bigger than you, deal with it, kind of thing.
Yep.
But him, like, if he's laying down first, she'll kick him out. But he'll eventually make his way over to her and lay back down if it's big enough. Like if it's like one of his
Yeah.
beds, then he won't bother. But that's also, out in the main room kind of thing. So he'll go and hop up on the
Yeah.
couch or do something along those lines. But yeah, it's funny how dogs are sometimes and how they will kind of have their own personality kind of thing. It's pretty wild. But
Yep.
so do you get an opportunity to watch much like YouTube or anything along those lines?
Uh, you know, I, when I can, I try, but uh, a lot of times right now, since I've been putting in so many hours, I've kind of got the what they call the TikTok brain. I'm just watching the short form videos right now. If it's longer than about a minute long, I don't really have time to mess with it unless I'm walking on a treadmill or something like that. But basically, I'm just watching YouTube shorts or something like that right now until I get more time of the day. I was watching like all the people that I like to watch. I was watching their full series all the time. If I was playing my game, I had somebody's series playing on my other monitor and was watching them while I was playing my game. I just don't have, I don't have the time anymore to just sit down and watch them. Unfortunately, at the moment.
Gotcha. And who are some of your go-to creators that you would tune into?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, as we said in our pre-show, I used to watch the big YouTubers, but I don't really watch them anymore. I like to stick with the community, So, obviously, I watch my people. It's in my little. We call ourselves the Farmhands United. We got our little group of people that like I said, Cowboy Cole and Unknown Kansas Boy. um, which none of us, we're all pretty busy right now, so nobody's really posting anything. Sweet and sassy country girl, she got pretty new and she was doing some stuff, but she's been working hard too. So it's almost like everybody right at the same time started getting real busy with life and was stopping posting. But I would watch them. Of course, I like to watch Game and Joy when he posts his videos, and Nacho Cast. I watch him. Just Joe, really like watching Just Joe. Uh, just some of the, you get out of the. I try to stay away from the bigger YouTubes that people they don't care, they don't talk to their community as much and stuff like that. I want interaction, people that help each other. Everybody that I watch and that I talk about, any one of the people, if you get on Discord and you reach out and ask them for help, they're gonna help you, no matter what. They might not be able to help you right at that second, but um, when I first started recording videos, I talked Nacho Cast helped me out a lot on recording on OBS and how to set things up and stuff like that. And then you know, Ultra Gamer, he's another one. I like watching him. Uh, he's on every Sunday, so that's one of my go tos on Sunday when I'm working out is I put I put his lives on. But like I said, most of the people I don't really get to watch. You've had a lot of people I watch, Wranglosaurus, and uh, you know, a lot of the people that you've Brady, you know, um, like watching all them. So everybody's really close knit community here, and that's the ones I like to watch. I just hate that I haven't been able to give as much views as I used to people because of how much I've been working, but it'll all come back around.
Oh, absolutely. And it's amazing the community that we have here. I always, you know, am just blown away because I never expected it. I never expected the community to be as tight knit and as strong as it actually
Hmm.
is. And it was just one of those that when I decided to start creating content, I was very hesitant to be able to get into the kind of live stream space like what we're doing now. Um,
Yeah, me too.
and it was just one of those that eventually I jumped in, both feet, and uh, met some amazing people along the way. I mean, you threw out a bunch of names there that, yeah, couldn't agree more. You mentioned Dust Bunny and Miss Hillbilly, Nacho Cast, and Brady Rimmer, and so many other people out there. They're just such great and amazing people. I know we got several of them in the chat right now. Miss Lisa's out
Yep.
there as well. Um,
Yep.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
she's starting to get pretty big and posting videos and stuff too. I've seen that.
Yeah, so
Yep.
it's such a great community that we got here. So many great people out there that yeah, I couldn't be happier to be a part of. Excuse me. Now I do have one question, and this is actually going to be, I think, a new staple of the questions that I ask within the Farm Sim Talk series. And I want to give a big shout out to Reaver Time Todd for, kind of lending this one to me to be able to kind of go forward with, because I thought it was such an interesting and unique question that I wanted to go ahead and kind of integrate it into the series. So,
Yeah.
uh, if you could choose any main character, not an NPC, but it has to be a main character in a video game, with regular settings, no cheat codes, no resets or saves, what game and character would you pick?
And what's the context for just to play as all the time or
So, not to play as, but to actually like be that character. So like you were, let's say
oh,
you
to
were
be that
somehow
character?
like warped into their world kind of thing. So to use an example like Mario kind of thing from Mario
Yeah.
Brothers. You were that character now all of a sudden, and
Yeah.
you were, weren't able to put in, cheat codes or resets or saves or anything like that, and you
Yeah.
were living that life. What character would you choose?
I believe, it would actually be, I think his name is Sam, and he's the main character that you play on Splinter Cell. I don't know if you remember that game.
I do, yes.
He's like a special ops operative that, has to do missions and you have to be sneaky and you have to, be quiet, but you got to know how to take people out or take care of yourself or handle yourself in any situation. You got to be on your feet and you got to think, on your toes to get. He's smart, he's versatile and he knows how to get things done.
No, absolutely. Good choice on that one. Like I said, that's going to be, I think, a new staple here going forward. And again, Reaver Time Todd, thank you so much for offering that suggestion there. So, if you could meet any three people, who would they be and why? And they could be people both past and present, whether they're like some Hollywood actor or, some family member long lost long ago, whoever or whenever they exist, who would they be and why?
Uh, I would like to. I like to meet. Probably that's a hard one. There's a lot of people I'd like to meet. Um,
So to give you a few
Oh yeah.
seconds to kind of, think of an answer there, the reason I ask this question is that it kind of gives people a window into, who it is that you find of value kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because, some people they'll sit there and answer, like I said, they'll say, oh, well, I'd love to be able to meet my grandfather, who's somebody who was in World War II and, did this, that, and the other thing. And he was behind enemy lines, got captured, this, that, and the other. Like, so I'd love to be able to meet him and be able to find out some of his stories and just kind of get to know where it is that I come from, kind of thing. And that kind of an answer would kind of let you know, okay, well, you value the history of your lineage, kind of thing, and you want to kind of know more about it, kind of thing. Others
Yeah.
may answer, oh, well, I'd love to be able to meet I don't know, like a Pavel Datsuk from the Detroit Red Wings, and you can kind of denote from that. It's like, okay, well, number one, they're a hockey fan, and this is somebody who they found to be a key player in their lifetime, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of dynamics that you can kind of infer from this question here. So, do you have three people that you would like to meet?
You know, really, I wouldn't like have three like specific people that I would like to meet, but I would like to meet someone with knowledge of like each of the world wars that we've been through that, had upfront personal knowledge of it and, was there and witnessed, what led up to it and what caused it, really caused it. You never know. You got your history books and stuff like that, but you really never know what the truth was behind things. So I would like to meet some people that actually had true knowledge of this is what led up to it. This is what happened really, and for you not to repeat, history, you can steer clear of what they did to cause what happened. You know, so I mean, it wouldn't really be any specific person per se, but I would like to meet somebody from them eras, the Civil War, stuff like that. Just you get a good perspective on, what caused it and how you can steer clear of something like that happening again.
So earlier in the interview, you mentioned that you would want to go to Rome and be able to kind of take in the architecture and the kind of history that's from that part of the world. And here now you're kind of mentioning history again from the kind of World War perspectives. Would you
Hmm.
consider yourself kind of a student of history, somebody who likes to know where we've been, so we can not necessarily repeat those same issues from the past, or is it just
Yeah,
something that you kind of just find of interest?
I mean, I find it interesting, but it is, it's good to know. Like I said, you get things that was that far away from where we're at now, and what's in the history books and stuff. It don't always mean that's what really happened. So if you can talk to somebody from that era and you can realize, what each party did wrong, or what individual, one individual did wrong to cause, all this havoc, to stop it from ever happening again. You're never going to really stop it from ever happening again, but you can try to steer away from uh repeating the steps that we took to get in that situation. But yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
I would love to, So yeah, I mean, I like the history of it, but to actually have knowledge of what happened and from somebody that was there that knows, I mean, it wouldn't have to be just be somebody that was there, but somebody that had like true, real knowledge of the creation of what went on in them times.
Gotcha, gotcha. And the last question that I have here for this segment is, what was your first paying job?
My first paying job was as soon as I found out my wife was pregnant, my sister got me a job at McDonald's with her. And her manager, she told her manager I got my at the time my girlfriend pregnant, and her manager was like, "Well, he better start working, so he better come in and put in an application." So McDonald's, flipping burgers.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. Well, like I said, that is the last question I have for this segment. So, want to set my sights on the
Alright.
chat and see what questions that they have to ask. So, let's
Yes,
see.
sir.
First one I got here is from Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa, how you doing tonight? Hope you're having a fantastic night so far. She asks, "What was your biggest challenge you faced in FS25, and how are you preparing for them?"
The biggest challenge is getting over all the hurdles that they're creating themselves when with these new patches, and they're messing up people's games. And you put in a patch and it says it's gonna this new one. I haven't even put it in, but everybody that I've seen put in the new patch is a lot of them has had to reinstall their game because it would say it's going to take like 2 weeks for the patch to go through and stuff. So that's the biggest hurdle for me on 25 is g- getting past what Giants is doing themselves, causing the havoc of the game. So
I gotcha. I gotcha. Miss Lisa, thank you so much for your question. I
thank you,
greatly
Miss Lisa.
appreciate it. Let's see. I also want to give a huge shout out to Dust Bunny. Dust Bunny, thank you so much for gathering up all these questions and sending them over my way. You are such an absolute rock star. Thank you so very, very much. So
Yes, ma'am.
she actually has several questions here listed out. She says, first things first, congratulations on your weight loss and your hard work getting there.
Thank you very much.
She also says,
Appreciate that.
congratulations on 27 years. We had the addendum there of 23 years, 23 years, I think, of marriage. And it's
Yeah.
wonderful. You talk so lovingly about your wife.
My wife's my best friend, so if it wasn't for her, my life would have went down a different path, and I appreciate her every day for it. So she's my her and my children, they're my everything. So
That's wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. She also says, where do you see your channel in 5 to 10 years?
I don't see my channel really much different than what it is. I use this channel to like I said, stay with the community, and I post my just a little bit of gameplay here and there. I don't I don't see myself getting too deep into trying to make this like a financial channel to where I'm making money off of it. So, I mean, right now I got about 200 subs. I maybe see me in a few years, maybe having 400 or 500 subs at one time, maybe. But it's just for enjoyment and to stick with the community and stuff like that. So it's not really, I don't really see it going too far into something that it's not.
Gotcha, gotcha. And tell you what, everybody who's watching out there, if you're liking what you're seeing so far and you want to help support Brian here, go check out his channel, hit that subscribe button, and show him a little bit of love if you haven't yet already. Let's help him, make a little bit of a dent into that future that we're talking about here. Let's see. We
Appreciate that.
got what and or who got you interested in Farming Simulator?
I actually just came across it by mistake when I was playing Xbox. It was a free farming simulator. I think 17 was free on Game Pass, so I downloaded it. I was like, well, I might check it out, and played it on there and got kind of hooked from there. Um, 19 was out at the time, but 17 was free. So then I ended up buying 19 and started playing it. And then when 22 came out, I knew I wanted to go to PC. So I got me a gaming laptop and started playing it on that. And then right before 25 came out, I built a monstrosity of a computer that I have here that is way overboard for Farming Simulator, but it can do anything that I want it to do. So, and I've just been hooked from there. So basically, I seen it on free Game Pass on 17 and was hooked from there.
So it sounds like you went down the farming simulator rabbit hole where you start on
I did.
console and eventually make your way into building your own machine in order to have complete and utter overkill. I'm
Oh
well on
yeah,
that same journey.
yes.
Let's see. She also asks, do you have any specific content creator that you watch in the beginning, or how did he, she, or they influence your playing?
In the beginning, I really when I first started playing the game, I didn't watch it YouTube at all. Whenever I first started playing the game, and then I started looking up videos. I watched a lot of DJ Goham and Clutch Simulations, stuff like that. And then I watched just them two basically for a very long time. And then it just kind of went through the rabbit hole of watching all their videos, that past videos and stuff like that, until I figured out the community, this community here. Once I actually latched on to this community, I realized it was a much better place to be. So that's where you know, then I got into watching Crust 2 and Northern Farm Sim, and then I met Cow, Cowboy Cole. He's the one that got me streaming. He I seen him on a stream one day and just got in and started talking to him. I had like 45 subs at the time. And he was like, "Well, why don't you stream?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have enough. I don't got enough subscribers. I ain't gonna stream." He's like, "No, just do it." He's like, "They'll come. Just do it." So he's actually the one that got me actually streaming. I just recorded video gameplay before that. So I owe a lot of that to him. He pushed me, and I'm glad he did because I really enjoy doing live streams.
Yeah, it's amazing. Um, I don't know if you were the same way or not, but like I said, I was very hesitant, like very, not even hesitant, was actually like actively working against doing live streams. It was just one of those that
Yeah,
it just didn't seem at the time like something I'd be into or something I feel like I would be well at kind of thing. 'Cause I'm very introverted kind of thing. So it's one of those I
yeah,
can have a conversation with maybe one or two people in a room, but you put me in a room with a bunch of people, I flounder. It's just one of those I
yeah.
shut down, I get quiet and all that stuff. So I figured that that same kind of personality trait would kind of make its way into streaming content. Like, hey, if I
Mm,
got like, a 10 people, 15 people in a room with me, ask me questions or trying to interact with them, that I would start to kind of shut down. And it's wild, but the community was so nice and kind of inviting that it,
welcoming. Yeah.
yeah, welcoming, exactly, that just kind of brought out the best in me. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of wild and how that all kind of worked out. Let's see. And
Uh,
one more
Just
question from, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know you said something about your chat, but I just wanted to say one thing. My wife's in chat, Khaleesi Super. So just want to say I love you too. She's in chat, said love you.
Aw, well, that's awesome that she's participating in the chat there.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Khaleesi Super. Thank you so much for showing up here tonight. Let's see. One last question that Dust Bunny has is: have you ever done any farming in real life?
I have not. No, I I grew up country, but not in the country. My family was very country, but we lived in the city. I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, so we're country, but we're not in the country. So I didn't do any kind of real farming. Now I've been hauling equipment. I've hauled a lot of farming equipment, but I've never worked the equipment.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. So, Dust Bunny, thank you so much for all your questions. I greatly appreciate it. We got one here from Miss Hillbilly. It says, thank you very much for the kind words, Farmer Brian. So, not so much a question, but a statement. So, you gave her the shout out earlier, and that's, I believe, what she was referring
Yes,
to.
ma'am. I appreciate everything. Like I said, and she keeps the Discord alive. So if you, I really appreciate that. So I thank you every day for that.
Let's see. We got another one here from Underfunded the Motorsports. Says Farmer
Yeah.
Brian for president.
Yeah. Yeah. 2028, I guess. It's not gonna happen. I appreciate it.
Underfunded, thank you so much. And actually, we got another one here from Underfunded. Says he's the real McCoy.
I try to be, you know, I try to be as real as I can be. If you that's what my channel's always been about. If you've anytime anybody's come in my lives, I've always been my motto is show the love. If you pop in my live and I know you got a channel, I'm putting your channel on my live, and telling everybody to sub to you, asking you to sub to them. I try to spread the love as much as I can in the community, and that's how I built. I mean, I don't have very many subs. I got 204 subs. I mean, that's how I built mine. It's just people coming in and meeting each other, and everybody just like I said, showing the love and giving people subs.
Well, I tell you what, like I said, let's show the love and send it right back to you. Like I said, if you haven't yet, go check out his
Appreciate it.
channel and hit that subscribe button. Let's see. We got again. Thank you, Underfunded, for your statements there. Greatly appreciate it. We got another
Fun and
statement
sauce.
from Miss Hillbilly. She says, "I agree, Underfunded. He is an amazing man and an awesome friend."
Appreciate that. And you are too. You're very you and your sisters done a lot for the community. So, you guys are both very appreciated. Des Bunny and Miss Hillbilly.
Absolutely, couple of amazing people. Couldn't be happier to have them. Not only in chat but just doing everything that they do. They're amazing people. Let's see. We got one here from Fafo Logging. He asks, on Farm Sim, would you ever try logging also when you play ATS on average, how many times an hour do you crash?
Uh Logging is not my cup of tea. I don't have the patience. I'm very ADHD, and logging is definitely. I can watch you do it, FO, but I can't do it myself. And as far as ATS, if I drove my truck like that in real life, I wouldn't have a license anymore. I do a lot of crashing on ATS. So it's always pedal to the metal and trying to get done as fast as I can, and it's never a good sight to see. It's very entertaining, but it's not a good sight to see.
So we mentioned earlier about the traveling portion of things and that you don't much care to travel anymore because of the work that you do. Uh,
Yeah.
did that not play out in the American Trucking Simulator portion of things? Like, do you like getting on that game with the work that you do, or do you tend to kind of avoid it because of the work that you do?
Well, I had the game for a very long time, but I never played it, and I kept telling them I was like, FAFO and them they was playing it, and Kansas Boy was playing it and stuff. They was like, you need to try it out, and yeah, I was like, I just don't know if I'd like it because I drive truck for a living. It's just you don't want to get off work and work. But actually, I mean, I enjoy the game a little bit, especially when you get a couple friends on there and you're all on there playing together and you're doing a convoy and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Surprised me as much as that I liked it as much as I did because the way I drive.
Gotcha. And let's see, we got one from Dust Bunny. She says, "Thank you, Farmer Brian, for the kind words."
Very welcome.
Let's see, we got one from T Gaming. They ask or state, "Brian is great. I appreciate him for all the love he showed me. Great guy, and I can't wait for the farm hands to get back to streaming."
I appreciate that, T Gaming. You're awesome. He's very good creator himself, and he's always in and coming in and helping the community, and he's helping people get their sub count up and stuff like that too. And I can't wait till we get back together, get going again too. Everybody's just got I've been doing my training and working, and old Cowboy Cole, he actually works at co-op, so he's in his busy season. So they're doing harvesting, so he's running about 15, sometimes 17, 18 hours a day himself. So
Oh wow.
and so yeah, everybody's kind of at the same time got really busy and was because we was streaming every Saturday together, but it's kind of been hard to do.
No, I
So I
hear you
appreciate
there.
that.
Real life happens, and it sometimes it happens hard.
It
As a
happens fast.
yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, going through some stuff here in my real life, it's been kind of a interesting day to say the least. But let's see. Again, T Gaming, thank you so much for your statement there. Greatly appreciate it. We got one from Midnight Rose. Midnight, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Says, what happens in ATS stays in ATS. LOL.
I hope so because my career doesn't need to see that kind of truck driving.
Oh no. Oh, why is this there? That's why it's not going through. All right. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of the questions so far. So let's go ahead and move into the next segment called Meat and Potatoes, emphasis on potatoes. This is where we're going to get to know you for more of your content rather than your personal stuff. So, first
Yeah.
things first, I ask this of every creator, even though that it may seem to be extremely obvious. I have found that sometimes life throws you a curveball on this one, so I'm going to ask it regardless. What's the story behind your username, Farmer Brian?
It's just my name's Brian, and I like playing farming simulators, so I kind of put the two and two together. Um, the uh, the logo that I made is just I kind of did my due diligence. At first, I had a tractor. It was just a basic old logo, but ended up getting into making logos and stuff like that. So I created the one I have. I really like it. Uh, Originally, it was supposed to be a farmer with a like a pickaxe in his hand, but the AI ended up making it a rifle, and I really liked it, so I just stuck with it. I like the way it turned out. So
So,
yeah, pretty easy. Farmer Brian.
like I said, it's one of those where I know it in this case seemed like a very easy question and should have been straightforward. But I have had those interviews. It's like, oh well, my name's Farmer this, and I actually named it after my great grandfather twice removed, and my cousin's brother's uncle, kind of like all this like
Yeah,
it was like this very elaborate kind of story behind it. So it's one of those that I keep asking it, even if it seems obvious, because you
yeah,
never know when there's going to be that
yeah. When you're
next
gonna hear
layer.
that crazy story, yeah,
hmm So yeah, it's one of those that even though I'm sure a bunch of people out there are like, "Come on, Dave, it's obvious." I know it's obvious, but
yeah, yeah. Mine
gotta
was
ask.
easy. Mine was easy when there wasn't no wasn't too much behind mine. Just I liked Farming Simulator, and my name's Brian, so I just put them two together, and that's where she came.
Fair enough. So currently, do you only produce farming simulator content, or do you produce other kind of content as well?
No, I do Farming Simulator. I've done ATS, and I actually just started playing an old game that I like, Dying Light. I started playing that again, so just to kind of get a little bit of a different game in. So I started. Basically, I'm just going to stream myself playing it whenever I get a chance to play it. I just hop on and just pop the stream on, so it ain't gonna be no any kind of uh, curfew or any kind of timeline or anything like that. Just especially with the hours that I'm putting in. Just whenever I feel like I want to play, I'm just gonna turn it on and turn on record. So I might
So,
play GTA 6 when it comes out. I'll probably stream it a little bit when it comes out.
gotcha, gotcha. So, when did you start creating content?
Uh, it's been, I don't know, probably around a year and a half or so. I recorded my first video.
Okay, so probably rough time frame, like right towards the end of FS22. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, yeah, probably, right around the end of it. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And you said you started playing it around FS 17 days, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
FS17 was the first one I played.
So, what's one thing that you never expected when you started your channel? And some of the examples that I give are the sense of community, any kind of unexpected backlash. What's that one thing that happened that you just never thought would?
Uh, the friendships that I've made on here, I didn't expect to, I mean, I figured, I would be cordial with people, um, and stuff like that, and people would be cordial with me. But I've met some really good people on here, and I've made some really good friends on here, and I didn't expect it.
Gotcha, gotcha. And would you consider Farm Sim to be your favorite game? And if not, what is?
I would say that in the grand scheme of things, it's my favorite game. But I do have to take a little break from it every now and then. It does start kind of droning on you a little bit. So that's why right now I'm playing Dying Light just to get a different atmosphere.
I gotcha. And you mentioned the game Dying Light earlier. If I remember correctly, that's
Yep.
the kind of zombie game, correct?
Yeah, it's like a parkour zombie game. You gotta collect things, and you gotta make weapons, and you're kind of trying to survive like a zombie apocalypse kind of situation.
Gotcha, gotcha. And one of the things that I've heard very consistently from people who play Farming Simulator through these interviews and whatnot is that the part of the appeal of the game is kind of the laid back nature of it. To where a game like Dying Light and whatnot, it really kind of amps you up and gets you kind of like just really kind of into the game, and you're just kind of firing on all cylinders. But Farm Sim is kind of the opposite of that, where you can just kind of hit the the cruise control and just kind of go through the paces kind of thing. Do you feel like that part of the game is the kind of appealing part of it to you? Is that kind of ability to just kind of zone out and play the game? Or is there something else about it that you kind of find more appealing?
Well, I'm very ADHD, and if you watch any of my content, I'm not the laid back, you know, doing the slow farming. You could play the Tokyo Drift music on the way I farm. My equipment's going fast. I edit my combines to hold 100,000, 200,000 liters. I don't do I try to make the biggest fields that I can to do the most crop that I can. I know a lot of people use it to calm down, but I'm very ADHD. I can't do. I try. My friends that I play on there with, Kansas Boy and Cowboy Co and stuff, they do it like the realism speeds and stuff like I just can't do it. It's just I try to play their way, and with my ADHD, it just drives me crazy. I can't combine at 6 miles an hour. I just can't do it. It'll drive me crazy. I won't be able to play the game. So I have to. That's why I had to come off a console, especially once I seen people was playing it online and they was able to turn their stuff up. That's all it took for me, and I knew I was going to PC.
That's when you told the missus, like, sweetie, look, I know this is a thing, but I really need to get a new machine. I got to get into this PC world of this game because of this. Is that kind of
Yep.
how it went?
Yep, that was it. It was, my the gaming laptop. I bought an Alienware laptop, and and started playing it on it. And then what I did with my computer is I just kind of bought a couple things here and there until I had everything that I needed and put it together. And this thing, is pretty beefy and strong for playing farm sim. But I built it to where if I want to play GTA 6 on it, I'm not gonna have a problem. It's versatile. It can play it's gonna play anything I want it to play. So I didn't want to have to upgrade it in 6 months. So I made sure I put the top of the line stuff in it.
No, and that's the one thing I will always recommend to anybody who's building a PC is make sure that you future proof it. Make sure
Yep.
that you're not just buying for the here and now, but that you're building it to where you can play
Yep.
several game iterations down the line. So that way it will last you for a while. It's going to be more expensive, it's going to be, more on the initial end of it, but you're not going to have to sit there in a year and get a new one because
Yep.
of now everything's outdated.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't want to do that. So, anytime that anybody's ever talking to me and saying that they want to get them a new gaming computer or something like that, I'm like, look, building a computer is much easier than what you think it is, and then there's a million videos on showing you how to do it, and it's a lot cheaper if you just every check buy yourself something, you know, save the expensive stuff for last, or whatever you need to do. One check buy you some RAM, next check buy you some memory, buy your fans. My computer has 13 fans in it, so it's a monster. It's got to keep cool. So it's but I mean, I just bought everything. At the end, I bought the most expensive stuff at the end, and I bought them together. But I pieced it out until I had everything that I needed.
No, and that's exactly the way to do it. And especially if you take that kind of long-term approach, one, it makes the kind of investment a little bit more manageable, but at the same
Yeah.
time, again, if you buy the things that you know are going to be overkill kind of thing,
Yep.
even if it takes you a year to kind of come up with either the funds or all the kind of time, effort, and money to be able to put into a final product, well, then you
Yeah.
still have something that even though the components you bought at the oldest are maybe a year old, you still got something that's
Yep.
going to last you 5, 6, 7 years down the line, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what I made sure I did. Like with my graphics card, I made sure, my some people can buy two of their computers for what my graphics card costs, but you know, I'm not gonna have to. I didn't when this 50 series came out. I didn't even blink my eye thinking that I was gonna even try to buy it. Because I don't need it. It's mine's almost just as good as what they're gonna do. So I mean, there's no reason to upgrade it. So, and that's what I wanted. I don't want to touch this computer again for at least 4 or 5 years before I do anything to it. When I moved to my new house, I had to buy a new monitor because my one of my monitors got broken. I was mad. I had to do that. So
oh yeah, no, I completely understand you there. That is the worst thing that you can find at the end of a move is something broken.
yep,
I
yep,
just recently moved myself, and we had just a little keepsake kind of thing that broke, and it was just one of those like it just a little trinket, not a big deal, but
yep,
it's just one of those like that sucks. That really sucks. Now you
yep,
know upgrade that little bauble to now all of a sudden, hey, this is something that you use on a very consistent basis, like a monitor or a
yep.
television or whatever the case may be. That's like it's cranked up to 11 at that point.
Oh yeah, it was just nothing. Especially when it's your fault. You're the one that did it. You can't blame it on nobody. You can't say nobody else did it. You're the one that touched it. You're the one that. I made sure that I put my computer in my car. My car, it didn't go in the moving truck. My computer. I built my computer. I built my daughter's gaming computer, and I built my son's gaming computer. And I made sure all of our computers went into the car. And luckily only mine is the one of the things that got busted was one of my monitors, so nobody else's that had to had to deal with that.
Well, thankfully, it was only just that, and you were able
Yeah.
to move on pretty quickly from it. So,
Oh yeah, yeah,
certainly, especially when it comes to a move, it can be infinitely worse. Like there's so
yeah,
many like weird things that can happen, during a move. As a matter of fact, my buddy, I ended up moving him up to Chicago several years ago, and on the move up there, everything in the truck shifted and ended up blowing out like an entire cabinet that they had. It was like this really old, like antique cabinet that they had. It was actually his wife's mother's that she had for the longest time. And when everything shifted, all the glass that was basically like one of those like Chinette cabinets kind of
like a
thing.
curio cabinet kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. When everything shifted, it must have just slammed on it so hard it blew out like basically every single one of the glass panes that were in the front of it.
yeah,
And we got in there and we start like shifting everything off of it and whatnot. And we get to that thing, and my buddy, he's just like immediately just his hands go over his face because he knows the 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 terror that is going to have that is going to befall him the moment he goes upstairs to tell her what happened.
yeah.
It's
Oh
like,
yeah, especially something old like that.
mm-hmm.
Well, when I was an owner operator, I actually contracted through a moving company, and my main job through them was delivering new furniture. So I would travel around the United States delivering. It was a very high end move furniture company that I delivered for. But whenever I wanted to come off the road for a little while, that's what I did is I would move people when I stayed local. I would pack them up, get them in a trailer and stuff like that. And stuff like that happens. It's impossible. My thing is I tell anybody that's moving, if you're especially if you're hiring a crew to do it, expect something. Something is going to get broke. We tried our best for that not to happen, but I mean, I had a carry cabinet. I was coming down a ramp at the back of my trailer. It was the last piece of furniture on the truck, and it just started drizzling rain a little bit. And I was coming down my ramp with the dolly, and I slipped, and that carry cabinet fell on top of me, and the glass busted. So,
Oh.
and that was the very last piece on the truck. So, I mean, it happens to anybody. So, it's when you're moving, you gotta expect things to get messed up.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way around it.
The one thing that I was the most nervous about because the way I had to transport it was our fish tank. I just got this little like 30-gallon fish tank, and I had to leave it to where part of the water was actually still in the tank, kind of thing.
Yeah,
One for the kind of structural stability, and it would kind of sit and not shift around in the seat because I
yeah,
had it in my car, but also because of the place that I moved from was city water. Where I was moving to was country water. It was on its own well
yeah,
and all that stuff. So it was one of those that I didn't know how the fish were going to react going
yeah. So that,
from one source to another, and if they were going to go into shock kind of thing. So I
yeah,
didn't want to, shock them so badly as to 100% switch them from where they were to where they are now. So I wanted to just
yeah,
slowly start adding in the country water and be able to, kind of go from there kind of thing. And it was it was one of those I was so afraid of driving with that thing because, any major shifts or like if I had to slam on the brakes or something like that, I was going to get soaked or at worst case scenario, something would blow out and then the entire
yeah.
car is just completely destroyed at that point with, with fish water. So,
Yeah, oh yeah.
that was a
I
one
mean, I would
thing.
imagine well water probably would be a better water for the fish than city water because it ain't filtered that way the city water is. I would think.
No, and you're absolutely right, but because fish are actually like very sensitive to their surroundings. And it's one of those that if you go from like one source to another kind of thing, it could just completely, you know,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah.
you know, send them into shock and they can die,
Hmm.
kind of thing. So it's just one of those like you just got to like introduce them to it slowly, kind of thing, so they get used to the new minerals and the new environment and all that stuff. So yeah, it was every bit of like a 2 week process of getting them like slowly acclimated to the new source of water, and now they're on full you know well water kind of thing, and
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
tell like they're much happier for it kind of thing. But it's just, I digress. So
yeah. Just the headache of it all.
yeah, oh yeah, it was the headache of it, and like I said, that was the most nerve wracking thing that I was transporting because if I don't know, if I like one of my monitors got broken, I'd just go out and buy a new one. If one of my television, whatever, if like a dresser got dinged, okay, that's part of the move. But that was the one thing. It's like this is something that not only could go wrong, but could like really damage a lot of different things. So it's like,
Yeah,
ugh,
yep.
it was that was the nerve wracking part. So thankfully it turned out fine. But the other part of it too is that when you're transporting the tank with water in it, those tanks are not meant
Yeah,
to be like picked up and shifted around, especially with weight
yeah,
in it. So it's one of those like you got to pick it up and you've got to like go really slow because if you get the
yeah. You
water
got to hold it a certain
sloshing,
way.
yep, if
Yep.
it starts sloshing, then it could just completely blow out one of the sides because it's just glued into place. It's not like it's super
Yeah,
strong or
acrylic.
anything. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So yeah, that was fun. So
I imagine.
thinking back to your days of FS 17, 19, 22, and now 25, let's kind of go through each of them individually and tell me what was your most and least favorite maps off of each one of the series that you played on. So starting with FS 17.
Uh, FS17. I think my favorite map was Goldcrest Valley. That's the one I played the most on. Was on 17. Let's see, 19. Lone Oak. Lone Oak. By far, Lone Oak is uh, as far as a regular size map. Lone Oak is my favorite map of all time. So of just like a normal size console size map. On 22, I went through so many maps on there, but my favorite one was it was Huron, New Huron. It was a 64x map. It was just, I mean, massive, massive map.
Did,
I actually tried to do a series on it, but my computer at the time couldn't run that map and run like OBS and stuff at the same time with my gaming laptop because that map was so big.
so you
And
said
then
64, 64.
64 times map, the size of I mean, it's
Wow.
just, yeah, it was, I mean, it would take to drive from one side of the map to the other. I mean, doing 100 miles an hour with your car, it would take like 10 minutes to drive across the map on that.
Wow. Holy smokes. I haven't even begun to imagine trying a map that size.
Yeah. And on 25 right now, my favorite map is the Dakota 16X map. It's a pretty good map. I like it. It's beautiful, beautiful. I like my maps to be big, and I also like them to like have hills and stuff. I don't like it to be flat. And Dakota 16X is I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful map. A lot of people can't, for some reason, a lot of people can't run the 16x maps on 25. I don't know what it is. I know you have to have at least 32 gig of RAM to be able to run a 16x map on 25.
Hmm.
But even some people with 32 gig of RAM, I mean, that map, I know people that's got computers that are pretty close to being on par with mine, and they still can't run the map. So I don't know what it is about 25 and the larger maps, but that's one of my favorite one right now is Dakota 16X. It's a pretty amazing map.
Gotcha, gotcha. And if you could pick any map from the previous installments of Farming Simulator and just snap your finger and boom, it's here on FS25, which map would it be?
Lone Oak. Lone Oak, I would go back. I really don't like playing normal size maps, but if that map was on, I would play it. That's probably my favorite map of all time. I just wish it was bigger. That's just my problem. I wish it was much bigger, but that I don't know what it is about the map. I mean, I just really like the layout of the map and how it is, and I always change it myself. I go in the editor, Giants editor, and change it the way I want it to be. But as far as just the map, period, that's my go-to. I've sent the map maker a message because they said they wasn't bringing it. I'm like, just bring it over, bring it over to 25.
I've heard Lone Oak being called out so many times, and I played it on FS19. It was an amazing map. Like I
Yeah,
completely understand why there's so many people out there who would love to see that map come back. It is there's just something about it that had just the right amount of everything to it, and
yep.
yeah, it's a shame that we have not seen it since the FS19 days, and it would be amazing for just one day it to make its way back to the farm sim world. I'd love
Yeah.
for somebody to get permission or somebody be able to just kind of bring it back into existence. That would be that'd be a good day.
Yeah, I got excited because on 22 it got brought to 22, and then I downloaded it and I started playing on it, and I had to actually fix a couple things on the map because whoever brought it didn't do it properly, and then I was almost about to start recording a series on it, and then I found out that they brought it over without permission of the map maker, so I was like, well, I mean, people was going back and forth, and I understand that you can't steal something that's not uh for sale or whatever or however that works out, but I wasn't going to disrespect them by putting out a series on it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes total sense. So we talked about some of the creators that you followed in the past, and you don't get to keep up with them like you used to back then. One of the people that you mentioned was somebody like DJ Goham, and one of his bits
Yeah,
of content is he'll do like the news kind of thing where he'll tell us
yeah,
all the things that's expected to be seen within the world of Farming Simulator coming in the future kind of thing.
yeah.
Do you get the opportunity to kind of keep up with what's going to be coming down the pipe in Farming Simulator in regards to like mods, maps, and things like that, or do you really don't have the time to be able to keep up with it anymore?
Them videos are really not my cup of tea. A lot of times, you know I've watched him a lot because he was kind of, like I said, I'm ADHD, so I understand the hyperness and stuff, and he brings the kind of like a fast paced hyperness to the game, and I mean he's pretty, he's pretty entertaining. So I like watching his gameplay videos. But as far as like the farm sim news and stuff like that, that's just, I mean, I get where people would be interested in it, but that's not. I don't click on them videos or anything. If I want to see a mod or something, I'll search for whatever it is because 9 times out of 10, if I get a mod, I'm gonna change it anyway. So I'll try to find a basic mod or something like that, and then put my own personal touch on it.
Gotcha. So you mostly live in the kind of here and now when it comes to like the mod hub or any kind of mod that excuse me that gets released. You're more
Yeah.
into the here and now, and that's really what's coming down the pipe.
Yep. Yep. What's there? If it's there, then I know it's there and I can see it. Then I'm good. But I don't really care about what's coming next because once I got my certain select mods. I like to have a large combine, a large semi truck. I like to have my my certain things, and then my gameplay mods. You know, some things that I couldn't wait to come. You know, like precision farming and uh, there's a few other ones I can't really think of right off the top of my head, but you know, some gameplay mods that make it, you know, it's like straw me and stuff like that that I really, you know, my biggest one was course play. I love course play and auto drive. I run them both together and sync with each other, and you know, I guess you can call me. I'm more of a farm manager than I am a farmer. You know, I rather get my workers going and let them do all the work, and I just kind of sit back and make sure everybody's doing their job.
Gotcha, gotcha. And thinking back to when Farming Simulator 25 was being announced, we were starting to get that slow drip of information, hey, these are the kind of features to look out for, this is the kind of, the highlights and all this kind of stuff. Was there any particular feature that you were most excited over when we were starting to find out about FS25?
I, I mean, it didn't really seem too much different. You know, mine was. I figured the graphics would be much better on it than on 22, so I was excited about that. And then, you know, I guess some of the different types of animals that it brought over, the different types of cattle and the buffalo and stuff like that. I was kind of excited about that stuff.
Gotcha. And was there a feature that you were initially excited over but kind of soured on?
Not really, because I didn't really. I knew it was gonna be just like any of the other games. You know, I knew it was gonna have a bunch of hype, then it was gonna come out, and you know, have a lot of letdowns. You know, that's how it usually happens with these games. You know, they hype it up, and then all these creators hype up the game and talk about all this stuff it's supposed to have, and then when it comes out, it just kind of. So I try not to get too excited about any certain thing, and then just play the game when it first comes out, and then I can play my level of excitement off of that, of you know what actually works and what doesn't work. You know, my disappointments and my what I really like. So you know, I did you know, I never really did too many where I streamed with people or played online with people. So when the game first came out, I kind of made the mistake of as soon as it came out, I didn't even play the game. Like I spent the first probably week just going through all of the basic mods in the game and changing them. So I changed all the like factory mods of the game. And then first time I tried to get online and play with somebody, I couldn't get on and get in their lobby because all my stuff was different. So I had to you know, delete the game and re-download it back to factory settings to be able to do that. So that kind of disappointed me a little bit, but I mean that was my fault. It wasn't the game's fault. You know, I'm the one that went in and changed a bunch of stuff in it. So
Gotcha. And what's one thing that's not in Farming Simulator that you really wish was there?
yeah, I don't really have any expectations really. You know, I usually just go with what the game has. You know, I do wish that you know, maybe in the game you can do like cattle drives or something like that, you know, where if you want to move your cattle from one place to another, you don't have to put them in a truck or you don't have to, you know, which the game has it now where you can just automatically move them from one place. But like if you could do like get a couple of your friends together on your farm and do like a little cattle drive or something, move all your cattle from, you know, your old barn to your new one, that would be a pretty good feature to have.
Yeah, no, I could see that. That'd be a really good one, I think. So, you mentioned the kind of gameplay style that you have. It seems a bit on the more unrealistic side of things. But what style of farming do you prefer to do? Do you prefer to do just arable farming, forestry, grass care? What's your kind of go to?
I'm big on grass and arable, you know, but really big on grass. Like, I mean, I think I can't remember how big it was. Like, I was playing Midwest Horizon, and my grass field was probably one quarter of the map it was just a big,
Wow.
humongous grass field, and I was actually playing that map with a couple friends, in my Farmhands United crew, and one of them got on there, Kansas boy. He was like, "Whose grass field is that?" That grass field is just humongous, So yeah, I do a lot of grass work. I like to do cattle and stuff like that. So cattle and sheep is what I like to do. So I'll make hay and stuff like that for my sheep.
And do you do any of like the contract work or anything like that when you do your playing?
Oh yeah, actually my series that I'm doing now, well, I haven't been able to do it for a while, but the last series that I was in the middle of doing was on Dakota 16X. It's an actual contractor series. I started off basically like I moved into the town and was renting a trailer from the BGA and just contract working for everybody until I was building up my own stuff.
Okay. And what's your most and least favorite contract to do?
Uh, my least favorite contract would be any kind of like if I don't have the right kind of equipment, is doing any kind of the carrots or anything like that. I wouldn't do no carrot. Now I have modded equipment that I'll do it with now. I don't like the modded equipment to where you're harvesting and it's taking stuff like 50 feet from each side that is just like invisible. I don't like that, but I'll take, uh, like Game and Joy came out with a pull behind harvester that it was made for potatoes, but it'll do other stuff. So it doesn't look like it's some kind of crazy mod, but it'll work for much more things than what it was intended for. So if I have something like that, there's really the sky's the limit. I don't care. There's really not going to be at least maybe deadwood contracts or something. I don't like any kind of lumber work or any messing with the trees at all. It just like I said with my ADHD, it's just kind of like time consuming, and I'd rather just put my super strength on, throw a chainsaw and just drag it somewhere, and just get it out of the way.
And what was your favorite contract that you like to do?
Uh, well, now the way the contracts, with the contractor mod, you can collect grass off contracts and stuff like that. So I like to do the mowing contracts that you can do on there now. So you can collect the bells, or you can collect the grass off of it.
So, as a creator, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who is looking to start in this field?
Um, you know, don't play off somebody else's game style. Play your game, and if you like it and you like that style, somebody else is gonna like it too. But don't play the way you don't want to play just so you can get people to watch your videos. Play your game, and if you get subs, you get subs. But if not, you're not playing a game that you don't like anymore because you're not playing your game style.
Makes sense, makes total sense. Now, what was or what has been the most memorable moment in your content creation career so far?
Uh, there ain't really a memorable moment. I just I have a bunch of moments where just all meeting the new people. As I started streaming, that's been the most memorable thing to me. Just the type of people you meet when you're. I guess that's the most memorable thing. It's just like the time that you meet your friend. I've met some pretty good people on since I started streaming, and I'm pretty good friends with a couple of them, and so that's pretty memorable. Is when I met them.
Okay. And the last question I have for this segment is if you had the ability to make a map from real life And we're talking that you had all the prerequisite skills, you knew how to do all the XML work, the Giants editor, like every little aspect you knew how to do. Where would you base your map off of and why?
Uh, you know, I don't have a definite preference, but I tell you what I would do is I would build a Kansas map because, I got a couple friends, Cowboy Cole and Kansas Boy. They really love Kansas, and they're really wanting a Kansas map. So if I had all the knowledge to make them one, I would make them one. Because for me, I don't really care, but they would really love to have a Kansas map. So it would be big because I would want to play on it, but it would be a Kansas map.
Excellent, excellent. Like I said, that is my last question here for this segment. So, once again, we're going to set our sights on the chat there and see what questions that they have for us. So, I think I left off with Jake Up 77. He says, I've turned my notifications on and will be adding Brian to my recommended creators list.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, Jake Up. Thank you so very much. Got one here from Unknown Kansas Boy. It says, shout out to my boy, Farmer Brian.
Yeah. Back at you. Appreciate that.
And it looks like he also says, you're the real MVP, brother. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys every day. More than you know.
And got one more here from Miss Hillbilly. She says, he is such an awesome friend to have.
Ditto. You are definitely, I'm glad I met you, and appreciate you being here every day.
So it sounds like, I mean, based on everything that I've seen here from the chat and things that, Dust Bunny has forwarded on to me here tonight, that you've made quite an impact here within the community here, finding a bunch of people out there that that you're able to call friends, and that you're just kind of within their sphere. I mean, that's, we kind of touched on it earlier tonight, but that's such an amazing thing. Like, again, I never expected to be able to, come onto this game and then create the community that I have created. And it sounds like you've gone out and done the same exact thing. You've gone out and created a community of people that you would consider like your friends, and actually like want to, spend time with them, kind of thing. It's
yeah.
I guess I'm saying all this to be like to once again kind of, puff up the community and say, y'all are awesome. You are the best part about what we do here. So,
Yes,
thank you to every single one of you out there here tonight.
Yep, I appreciate everybody that's around, and that's the type of person I am. You said you're an introvert. I'm the total opposite. I'm an extrovert. I can walk into a room with 100 people and I'll walk out with 100 friends. It's just, that's the type of person I am. I love to help people. I love to, like I said before, I've got a few creators that that I've helped them put, just little things, put logos on their stuff, or help them with certain, mods and this and that. And that's what I love to do. I like helping people. I love this community. So, just, if somebody, if I tell you that, I'm gonna do something for you, or I want to do something for you, I'm going to do it. It's just the type of person I am, and I'm going to try to help you out as much as I can.
That's awesome. That's absolutely fantastic. And like I said, I can very much tell that based on just the, overwhelming amount of comments from people saying, just how good of a person you are. And, we got another one here from Miss Hillbilly, who says he has a heart of gold and will do anything in his power to help another. I mean, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I try.
That's
how I live every day of my life. It's not just on the community. I mean, that's the way I've always tried to live. That's the person I try to be. It's just, if I can give you the shirt off my back, or if I can do something for you to help you out, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Before, what was it, maybe 2 weeks ago when you and I started talking, unfortunately had no idea about you or your channel, and it wasn't until then when I got introduced to you, where I started to like become aware of who you were, and then starting to hear all of the positive feedback from so many different people. It's really nice. Like I said, it
Yeah.
sounds like you've made quite an impact within the community. And like I said, I look forward to seeing where you go from here. So keep up
I
the great
appreciate it.
work and
Yeah.
everything that you're doing, because apparently you've touched a great many people out there in the community to have such an impact, and so many people saying such kind words for you. So that's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, everybody's awesome. The community is definitely awesome community.
But like I said, that appears to be all that I have from the community, from the chat here. And we're going to go into our third and final segment called That's a Silage Wrap. This is where we're going to start closing things out and bringing this show to its end. First and foremost, Farmer Brian, I want to thank you so very much for coming out here tonight and doing the show. I had an absolute blast with you here tonight.
I do too. I appreciate it. I'm a little tired, but it's been a pretty good, pretty fun night.
Well,
I was excited about it.
considering that you were telling me how you normally are getting up around this time to go work out and all that stuff, and then having your
Yep.
near 17-18 hour day ahead of that, yeah, I could understand why you were tired, which is why I'm really glad that I was able to end it exactly around the time that I was originally telling us. So I wanted to try my best to kind of stick to that. So
Oh yeah, as about 7 minutes ago, I've been up for 24 hours.
oh my word. Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. Do you want to give
appreciate it.
do you want to tell us where we can find you?
Yep, Farmer Brian Gaming on YouTube and Farmer Brian on Discord, and it's in my YouTube also where my Discord is.
Excellent, excellent. And again, really appreciate you coming out and hanging out here tonight. And this is where I turn my sights to the chat and say, did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy this interview and like what you see here for this show? If you did, and you have a creator out there who you would like to see, do an interview, let me know who they are. Unfortunately, I cannot know everybody who's out there. It's just completely impossible for me to keep up with it, especially with the way that things are going in my life now. So, like I said, if there's a creator out there that you want to see be in the interview seat, let me know. Reach out to me on any of my socials. I got them all listed down below. Instagram, Facebook, X, Discord, YouTube. Any one of them, reach out to me, let me know who it is. And if you are a creator and that you would like an opportunity to be able to join me here, let me know. I'd love to have you on. Big or small, doesn't matter. That's it's an open seat for this show. The only thing that I ask is that you got to be over the age of 18. If you're not 18 or older, then unfortunately I cannot host you. It just opens up too many wormholes at that point. So that's the only requirement I have is that you're 18 or older and that you have some kind of existence within the world of Farming Simulator. Again, that's content creators, map makers, modders. I'll even talk to like actual farmers. Like if you're not even necessarily connected to the game itself, but that you do farming, let's chat. Because without you, we wouldn't have Farm Sim. But all that being said, once again, Farmer Brian, I want to thank you for joining me here tonight. And I want to thank
Appreciate you
everybody
having
out
me.
there in the chat for joining us here. Greatly appreciate every single one of you. Y'all are awesome. And yeah, had an amazing time. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, show us by liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all the things. The algorithms enjoy you doing. The shows you're engaged with this channel, enjoying the content. And that being said, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care.
Have a
Farmer
great
Brian,
day.
Farmer Brian, hang on for just 1 second until after the outro, and I'll catch you on the other side.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Take care, everyone.
Everyone have a great night. Have a good weekend.
This is Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Let's roll. Out here in the country, John Deere, digging deep with modders so their voices we can hear. From giants of the code to the artists painting skies, he's shining up their stories like a brand new combine. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. From tractors to textures, from silos to sounds, there's a whole crew of heroes making this world go round. So tune in and find out who's behind the screen. Farm Sim Talk's the place to see what farming really means. It's Farm Sim Talk with B.